okay, you were not able to crack maybe because of the communication problem.
Yes,
Could
and the way of answering
okay, the way of answering. Okay,
also, yeah, that must be practice. That is the
okay,
issue.
okay. So what is it that in this class, you would like me to cover? Because um, whatever I have explained to you so far, it's mostly to do with business analysis, right? Like business analyst ka role jo bhi hai, like requirement gathering, then what happens in UAT, then what is an epic, how to create story, right? So which area you're feeling less confident that you feel that you are not able to answer?
Uh, as I know all about the Salesforce admin, right? So if I will take example of that class, so I can ask questions. So see, I am feeling low in flow, so you can take it flow. But I don't have any idea about BA, how it's work, what all the things required, right? So whatever things you taught me, that is enough. Just give us a little bit more from your side also. Because you know better that BA profile. What should what we should know? You have a better idea about it. That's why.
Okay, okay. So you're asking me, or you're telling me that you're a little bit low confidence on the BA roles and responsibilities, the profile itself, and is that
I
correct?
yeah. I mean I just want to do whatever you can add from your side. Just do this because I don't know how much more we leave the BA topic in this crash course.
Uh-huh. Okay. So that's what. First thing I want to cover, like what exactly is a BA, right? Like what you have to do if you're a BA, right? The role and your responsibility. That is something I can cover today. And the second part is, if you're going to be a BA, what will your model look like, right? Meaning your process as a BA from the time the project is given to you till the time the project gets over. What all you have to do. Okay.
Okay.
So these two things I'm going to cover. So now, there is a difference between business analyst and there's a difference between Salesforce business analyst.
Okay.
Okay. So business analyst is somebody who takes the requirements from customer and then gives the same set of requirements to the uh, from the customer to the development team, right? The Scrum team. But what differentiates a Salesforce business analyst? A Salesforce business analyst needs to know the concept of CRM, right? Because a normal BA is somebody who's going to get requirements like, okay, design a website, and in the website, I want to have a button on the top right. And when I click on the button, a page should pop up, and in that page, I want to have name, place, animal, thing, right? So that is a normal BA work. For this, you don't need to know any knowledge of any particular technology, right? You're just taking the order as to how the website should look like, and you're handing this requirement to the developer. Correct? Do you agree, both of you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But in the CRM BA, right, like as a Salesforce business analyst, what makes it different is if I come to you and say, I'm taking an example, Abhijit, the same example of Service Cloud, right, email to case, because it's very easy to explain this project in any given interview, right? So if I come to you as a customer and I tell you, hey, look, today I run a business and the business is about selling my products and the customers are buying my products. But after buying the products, they are coming with issues or complaints that they want to exchange and stuff. So we have a mailbox, right? We have customer care @ webshala.com. So if anybody wants to, raise a query, you can send us an email at this mailbox, right? That's my business use case as a customer. And I'm coming to you and you on the other side as a Salesforce person. cannot just take this problem statement because you don't know what is the requirement. You only know that this is their process today, correct? You only know that the customers are sending email to the mailbox and emails are coming to the mailbox. So how is this even linked to Salesforce, right? So that's where the Salesforce business analyst should actually apply the skills that you've learned in the admin. Okay. So in admin part on the Service Cloud, we have something called as email to case setup, right? Which means any email that comes to the mailbox, cases can be created in Salesforce automatically, right? So you have to be able to expose this feature to the client, right? Saying that, look, I understand the emails are coming to your mailbox, and now, this can be created as a case into Salesforce. So that differentiates a normal BA versus a Salesforce business analyst. That's why a Salesforce business analyst just cannot get into the role without understanding Salesforce administration or without understanding what is Salesforce, right? So if both of you, like in this call, are not able to understand what is Salesforce and then you want to apply for a BA role, it is not possible because the requirements that you get will be as simple as, oh, you know what, I want to maintain all the customer information in Salesforce. So how will you know how to maintain customer information in Salesforce? You have to know key, okay, customer information in Salesforce is maintained on account and contact, right? If you cannot link what the customer is saying or the product owner or whatever you call the stakeholder or the client, right, is saying in Salesforce terminology, then you cannot be a good BA. Okay. So the prerequisite of becoming a good BA is to know admin concepts thoroughly. So I know, Sunena, you are in the verge of completing your admin, but whatever concepts you've learned in admin today, if I try to talk in a normal business language, your confidence should be that, okay, I'm able to convert this business requirement into, Salesforce terminology. And for you, Abhijit, because you know admin already, you've done some hands-on work also, you should know by now, if I tell you something in a very generic English statement, you should be able to relate it with Salesforce.
Yes, right.
Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's do this activity where I'm going to be talking to you like a business. You both are my you both are my business analysts. And I'm going to be telling you something like normally, and you have to tell me which feature you can link in Salesforce for that. Okay? If Sunena, you're not able to answer, then I want Abhijit you to answer. If Abhijit you cannot, then Sunena. Then at the end of it, we can also see, like if both of you knew that concept. Okay. Shall we do this for some time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is that, um, so assume that I'm your customer, right? I'm your product owner, and I'm coming to you and saying, I want to onboard 10 users. I have 10 new employees who have joined my organization. They don't have access to Salesforce. I want them to get access to Salesforce. That is my requirement. Very simple. This is the most easiest requirement anybody can get. Okay. So I'm going
Yeah.
to repeat. Okay. I'm just going to repeat. So I have 10 new employees in my organization. Okay. And I want to onboard these 10 users to be able to use the Salesforce. So as a BA, okay, what concept you're
Mhm.
going to link and what steps you will undertake to create the users.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this requirement, first thing we must consider like those 10 peoples for which role they are coming in organization. Are they senior level or are they junior level or are they mid level? So why this question comes? Because we required a role and profile before a user creation. This is the most priority thing. Role profile and email ID or in email ID. These are the important things. So my first question is, tell me about for which profile, for which role they are coming, on which level, so that we can configure the role and profile for them. Am I right?
Okay, I'll pause here. So, Naina, what will be your take on this? Like, how are you going to? I mean, that was Abhijit's way of handling with me, right? So, how are you going to handle thing with me? The same
Uh,
requirement.
yeah. First, I will, I mean, check whether their employees, like what temporary employees or permanent employees. Then I'll create according to that, and based on the roles also. Because for
Okay.
developer you need all the access. For, I mean, as for admin, or only if you're handling account, you don't need, I mean, all the access, right? So
Mhm.
depending
Okay.
upon.
Okay. So both of you here, no, have confused me as a product owner. Okay. Because both of you are talking so technical to me. Like both of you are telling, give me what profile you want, what role you want. Like I'm so confused here as a product owner, right? So think about it. Like I don't know what is profile. I cannot explain to you, okay, this is the profile, that is the role, right? Because I'm business. I don't know, like, I won't go into Salesforce and look at your security and be like, oh, this role should be here, and this profile should be system admin, this profile should be sales, what manager, right? I cannot say that because roles and profiles are very technical terms, right? So one of the most important things for a BA is you have to be as uh, casual as possible with the business, right? Only the technical terms you will use with your team. If you come to me and say the very first question, when I ask you to create users in the Salesforce, if you come and ask me, okay, the most important thing is I want to create a role, I want to create a profile for this, what should be it? Then business will go mad. They won't know what you're asking only, right? So don't complicate your minds by thinking something too complex. Okay. If I tell you to create user, what is the first thing you will really think? You will think, okay, I want to know the name, right? Like first name, last name, email, username, you know, uh, the employee ID, like all basic information first, though you will capture, right? You will not directly jump and ask, okay, tell me the role. You don't even know who are the people, right? So think from a very, very basic question and then keep building it, right? Like a building block. You need to keep on building your questions to the highest complex questions. Yes, Abhijit, what you told, we have to consider role, we have to consider profile, correct? But you cannot ask that question very directly to the
Means
to
here
the person.
okay,
Yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
try again. So accordingly, the first question should be, what kind of work your all the 10 people will do in Salesforce? I mean, are
Mm-hmm.
they salesperson? Are they
Correct,
uh, are they provide service to your end users or customers? So
correct,
what they will do?
correct, correct. Or
Okay.
that is very good. You can ask that, and along with that, you can also mention that do you have a reference user in the system who do you want to replicate the information, right? Like suppose let's say I am in the org Apurva. Okay, my name is Apurva and I'm a user in Salesforce. Now they are hiring, let's assume 10 new users in their company, right? Who is
Okay.
going to be doing the similar work as Apurva, right? So then you can ask them this question, right? That is there anybody in the company who is
Okay.
similar, who is going to perform similar tasks as these 10 users? Can you share their
Uh,
information?
okay. I am pausing you here. The same incident I faced in real time in my organization.
Hmm.
Can I tell you?
Go ahead.
Okay. So we had a marketing executive partner profile. Already it is working continuously. So all the our end users are using. A business person proposed us that we have business business associate users are coming in our organization in each and every branch, so you have to create users accordingly. What I asked to them, tell me about the reference users. I mean, th- for which kind of user they will looks like, I mean which profile they will use, kind of profile. They asked marketing executive profile you can use for reference. Accordingly, we have created the BA profile also. Then we used to implement these things that I did actually in my organization. What you said right now. That's it from my side.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so you are agreeing with me that it's good to ask that question, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
That
So
should be.
that's what. Don't use words like role. I mean, if I mean, you have to know who your customer is, right? If I'm your customer and I have very hands-on experience with Salesforce, I know what profile is, I know what role is, then you can talk with them very confidently about role profile. But most of the times, 90% of the times, the people don't know what is Salesforce. Like they are using it for the first time and they're giving you the requirement. After they give the requirement and you build the requirement for them, then they'll become Salesforce experts. No, I mean, then only they'll use Salesforce, right?
Okay.
So it's like I'm telling you to create a story on Jira and you don't know, you've never seen Jira before. Now,
Mhm.
I'm asking you, create an epic. I'm talking to you like this, and then I'm saying, create a bug, create a story, but you don't even know where they are, right?
Right.
Or you don't know what it is. So try to use the thing. Now, I think if I were to answer this question or drive the business requirement for user creation, what I would do is the first thing that I would have is an Excel. Okay. And before the requirement gathering, I would collect some information about what they are looking for, right? I'll have some email or some reference. It won't be like I'll go completely blank. I won't know what it is, right? Of course, before the call, you will have some reference, right, to the agenda of the meeting. So I'll try to get that information. I'll do some basic analysis, and I will create one Excel file. And what analysis I'll do, I'll go to the user record and see what are all the required fields, correct? Because I cannot create a user record without filling those required fields, and I cannot assume to fill that information myself. No, I need it from business. So what I'm going to do, create an Excel. In that Excel, I'm going to add columns of all the required fields. And in that call with the business, I'm going to open that Excel and ask the business, look, these are the mandatory fields to create the users. I will be sharing this file with you today. Can you share this file back with me end of the day? Right? That's all. It's as simple as that. And that's exactly what I expected from you both to say, because you I mean, yeah, you may think very complex way, right? But that's what I'm trying to make you guys think. It's very important to do that creative thinking of low key, meaning start with a very basic low thinking and then eventually develop your mindset to ask complex questions. Okay? Are
Yeah.
we clear?
Yeah. Good.
Okay, now we'll take another example here. Okay, and you guys tell me again how you would link that to a Salesforce thing. I'm going to continue with the flow, right? So the first step was you got the user information, you did this, and you created a story for the development team, right? To have all this information. Now, once you created this, you go back to the business because the project is not only about user creation, they have further things to it. So what they're going to tell you is there are 10 users, okay? And the in this 10 users, what they want to do is whenever so my business, let me again talk like a customer. So I have 10 users in my organization, and whenever a person shows interest in our product, okay, that information of the person who shows interest in our product need to be captured in Salesforce. Okay, our product is mobiles, okay, and we have our website, and many people come to our websites and they keep purchasing, I mean they keep clicking on the mobiles, Now some may buy the mobile, some don't buy the mobiles. So for the people who buy the mobiles, it's fine. We don't want anything to touch there. Sorry, for people who buy the mobiles, yeah, we don't want to touch there. For people who don't buy our mobile phone but still click on it, we want to get that information in our Salesforce system. That's the requirement.
It's lead, right? Leads.
Correct. Good. So you're understanding that it is something to do with leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we did in Webshala, right? I mean, uh,
Yes.
yeah.
So now we want to get that lead information into Salesforce. That's my requirement.
Sorry.
I want to get that lead information into Salesforce. That is my requirement. So how you're going to drive this conversation with me now? What questions you will have for me?
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there is functionality will be used the lead capturing.
Hmm?
So we have the website. Users are coming and showing interest on the website, and we have to capture all those informations, right? So technical term. Okay. So here my first question will be the what will be your sources? So source will be source will be website. And yeah, so in Salesforce system, we will capture all those information in a lead page. So we required some information, some basic information like their basic details, first name, last name, mobile number, email ID, right, in our lead page. So please tell me all the required basic details, whatever user
Okay.
are filling on website. Accordingly,
Okay.
we will create a page in Salesforce. I mean that will be lead conversion page. Over there we can capture all this all the informations whatever user feed at website. That
Okay.
is.
Okay. Very good. Very good, Abhijit. Yeah, that's exactly what I would have also expected, or I would have done the same thing. So a little refinement to what you said, right? You can, I mean, now you need not do, but please remember that as a BA, you should always share your screen. You should open notes or notepad or OneNote, anything you're comfortable with, and you should
Mm.
start preparing the table in front of them, right? Or
Okay.
you need to start making notes. Okay, what are the information you would like to capture from the lead? Right, that's a great
Mm.
question. And then they'll say, oh yeah, we need name, we need the email so that we can follow back, right? And
Mm.
all those. Because yes, once a lead is coming from website and you want that lead creation form to be created, and then the lead conversion happen, I mean, sorry, the lead gets captured in Salesforce, what are the list of fields that should auto populate, right?
Mm.
It's basically coming from that field list that you're collecting from business, right?
Okay.
So that's good. So Sunena, you're following up what we are talking.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah, for Sunena, for
Apurva.
you it's new. I understand, but just kind of listen. Try to listen because I know today is your first class, so it's fine. Yes, Abhijit, go ahead.
So here in if we will talk about technical terms here, the web to lead will work, right? The Salesforce functionality, and
Correct.
we are just
Correct.
web to lead will work. Okay. The same thing is
Exactly.
happening in my organization. I mean, whatever I am learning here, I can
Hmm.
relate all those things in real life related to our organization. Whatever I did,
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
that's it.
Okay. So the next step is we created users, right? Remember, whatever scenarios I'm mentioning to you, it's a project. Okay, it's not like I'm going to go to a now completely different situation. Okay, the same thing. So first step was you created users. Second step was you were able to get the lead information into Salesforce, right? Now again, as a product owner, I'm going to come back to you and say that okay, now we were okay with getting the user creation stories. We're okay with the lead capture story. Now the third thing I would like to do is, but once this lead information come into Salesforce, okay, then I want to segregate this 10 users into two halves, right? Meaning I want to have 5 users in one group and another 5 users in another group, and based on the country of the country of the based on the country of the person who showed interest, right? I want to assign it to the groups. Okay, that's my requirement. Understood the requirement here?
Uh, can you tell us again?
Okay, so I have lead information coming to Salesforce. Now, once the lead is coming into Salesforce, right? I want that information to be handled by a group of users. Okay, I want it to be handled by group of users depending upon the country
Okay,
from which the lead is coming from.
understood the requirement. Okay. Give me a moment. Shall I start, or Sunena, are you going to start? Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so I have some idea about this question.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
once the question comes, like we have to split uh, those leads into two groups according to country. So here my question should be like, uh, so in each group, which country you want to mention? First question is that, and yeah, which country you have to mention in all the leads so that in two groups they should be split. Am I right?
Yeah, I can give you the country list. I'm going to
Okay.
say this. Then what you're going to do.
Yeah. So once we got country list, then then we will add this. Now that what will come like now we need to assign the lead to group. I'm stuck.
See,
Apurva, can you repeat the question?
can you repeat the question, Abhijit?
Yeah. So another question was we are receiving the lead, okay, for 10 users. We are receiving the lead from website. So now what will happen? Lead should be split in two part according to
Lead should not be split
country.
into two parts.
Sorry. Yeah, lead information is coming, and we have two groups for 10 users, five each. The information should assign in two groups according to country. Like India and Australia, we have countries like that. Indian leads should be assigned to one group, and Australian leads assigned should be assigned to other group. This is the requirement. Am I right?
Sorry, what? Come again? Come again, Abhijit. I didn't hear the last part.
I mean, I said an example like we have countries like India and Australia. So we have two groups. So Indian leads should be assigned in one group, and Australian leads should be assigned in another group. That is the requirement, isn't?
Yeah, see, you are assuming this. So instead of assuming, you can ask that question, right? Like, what should be the group name? What should be the who should be the people in the group? Basic questions, no? These are like आपको पता ही नहीं
Okay.
है ना कि who which group, like what is the group name you want to call inside the group, who are the people should be there. Okay, lead आ गया. Then country has come. So how do I know which country should go to which group? So that thing is called as queue country mapping, right? They need to give you, again, you have to share your screen, you have to create a Excel, and you have to create a column called queue name or the group name, and the other column called country, right? So that whenever a lead comes in and the country gets populated, then that will be the group assigned, correct?
Uh, but here we are using queues and groups, so these are technical terms. So are they good with customer?
You have to explain that na as a BA. So they'll say
Okay.
groups are
Okay.
not technical na. They'll group
Mhm.
matlab bunch of people, right? That's why I use the word group. But you have to
Okay.
tell,
Okay.
in Salesforce we have a concept called queue. Queue is nothing
Hmm.
but a group. In the queue, we can add members, right? So please tell
Okay.
me the list of members who need to be in QA and who need to be in QB. That will be your first question, right?
Okay.
Then the second question would be mostly to do with, okay, now members are there in the queue. That's fine. When should the queue assignment happen, right? You're telling me based on country. So how will I know which country, which queue? Right? For India, you told me that for India country, Indian queue. For Australia, Australian queue. So instead of assuming, you have to create that table and ask them, right? Which country, which queue,
Understood. Okay.
right? And the third question, what else could you ask other than this? Now that's where your complexity will increase, right? Okay, once the lead gets assigned to the queue, what next? What happens? Should the
In-
members of the queue be able to automatically, the round robin should happen, or should members of the queue manually, you know, be able to pick the lead themselves, right? Or should it remain in the queue only, right?
Understood. Okay.
Then you still want to think complex and creative, right? Like once the lead gets assigned to now a member, because initially it was in a queue, it cannot remain in the queue forever. No, somebody has to
Yeah.
work on it,
Hmm.
correct? So when it gets assigned to the person, what should happen then? Should we trigger an email notification to the agent? Should we trigger email notification to the lead, right? Getting my
Yes.
point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Then you can end over here because now it's getting too complex. No, you can wait for them to hear back what they have to say. Okay. Other types of complex questions you can think of in this scenario is the country field which is on the lead. Based on that only assignment happens. Correct? Do you all agree?
Yes. 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 According to country.
Now
Yeah.
there can be a possibility country is blank also. So can that situation occur? You have to ask, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what if the country is blank? Assignment won't happen to either of the queues. So it's a fail, right? The scenario.
Mm.
It won't meet the requirement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to ask this question, who is filling the country field today? Is it automatically coming in, or is a agent filling it in today? Because if agent is filling it in, there is a possibility they can leave it blank. Correct?
Yeah.
Somebody is going and manually filling that data, then it could be blank. Like I can be lazy and not fill the country. Correct?
Mm. Mhm.
But is it coming from the lead creation form? Like at the time of submitting, right? The response. Remember the previous step?
Yes. When we
That
are
time, are you
capturing the
making
lead.
yeah, are you making country field required over there? Because if that's the case, then the scenario will never fail, right? Always country will be there.
True.
Understood.
So these types of questions you have to think. See, all this I'm not I mean, I'm just cooking it up. Okay. It can be a situation like this or it cannot be. But this is a classic example of driving a requirement. Okay. From how you think to small to a big thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these were the three examples. Now, why I told about a scenario, I mean, in the interview, you can apply the same concept, right? Like, tell me some of the projects you've worked on, if they ask, right? You can include this portion of the requirement, right, in your example, that example of a project you've worked on, where you can cover lead management and user management, correct? Getting it?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
as I did in my interview, that email took yes.
Yeah, so email to place was one example, but that was on the service cloud. Now you can explain
Yeah.
on sales cloud what did you work on? So I primarily worked on lead management and I worked on user management. So from user management perspective as a BA, I was only in charge of loading the data. So I collected all the information, who are the users, what are the required fields. I prepared an Excel file. I did the data validation and then loaded the user information. Now, it was a part of lead management too, because in the lead management, their requirement was they have their website, and in the website, they capture lead information, and that information need to come to Salesforce. So we created a web to lead form, right, which was Salesforce built, and that was added to the website. And there were some fields that that we wanted to capture, and the lead would fill up all that information, and when they hit save, this information would eventually flow to the Salesforce because of the web to lead concept that we built. And my role here was to create all these gather all these requirements, right, and ensure that this acceptance criteria of the stories are met. Okay, so this is how you build a story around your project. Um, Now, why am I telling you this? Because there are two ways to answer a question, right? On tell me some of the projects you've worked on. You can tell it in your own boring, I mean, you can tell it in a boring way or you can tell it in your own creative way, right? The boring way is something like I worked on a project which involved which is called XYZ, and it has website, and I captured lead information. I gathered the requirement. I was there in UAT phase. So this is like very generic way to say it, right? There is no flow only in your project explanation, correct?
Yeah.
So you need to link the dots or connect the dots and create a story. Okay. So that was one thing I wanted to cover. And yeah, I just have this question, right? I want to cover like one more small topic. So I want you guys to ask me a question on how to answer like one specific question in the interview, right? Like you can drive my interview and see how I answer it, right? You can open up Google and you can check what are the questions asked for Salesforce business analyst, or you can, from your experience of interview, you can ask me the question they asked you, and then you can listen to what I will respond, right? And the same thing you guys can take a note on to answer it like that. And you can also give the feedback. Okay, was this, how could we have answered this better, right? So we can do that activity now so that you get some confidence to ask that questions, right, yourself, and be able to also get the answers for the questions.
Okay, I have few questions earlier. So Nana, can you are you starting?
No, you can start, Abhijit.
Okay. So Purva, please answer a question like yeah. So in a story writing in your as you are running a BA, uh, yeah, as a BA you are how you are writing your stories. So what method you are using?
Okay. So, first of all, before I write a story, I always make sure that I gauge how big the story is, right? Whether it is a small story or a very big story. So, if it's a very big story, first I create an epic, right? So, the epic is going to contain the scope of the project, the clearly I write down the out of scope items, and then I write down the milestones of this project in the epic. Once I complete doing that, I chunk the epic into various stories because, as I mentioned, it is a big size story. Now, each story I follow a template. I give it a suitable title with a good naming convention. So I follow a naming convention of giving the org detail hyphen the project name or the specific. For example, if I'm doing email to case setup, right, that will be my epic name, that email to case. And if I'm doing it for a specific region, let's say APAC or America or EMEA or India, then I will mention email to case India, right? So that we can clearly know from the epic itself which country this belongs to. And under that, I'm going to create multiple stories and going to continue follow the same naming convention. So under in this example of email to case, of course, I'll have case creation, I'll have email notifications. So I'll give it relevant names followed by the country or the region to which we are building this. Um, Now you asked me how I write a story. So if I take this typical example, I follow the Gherkin methodology, which is given, when, then, right? So that the developer or anybody in the Scrum team, right, will be able to understand given for who are we doing this and in which scenario or when are we doing this, and then would give us the expected result. If you want, I can share my screen and show you an example of how I write the story with this given, when, and then method. Would you like to see it? Right. So this
No.
is how I would answer this question.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And even I answered yesterday, it was very less according to that scenario.
You have to,
One, yeah,
if you answer the question to the, I mean, if you answer the question straightforward, right? Like, what is your name? And then you'll say, my name is Abhijit. That's good. That's the correct answer. Okay. But for BA, it's not impressive. If you answered, my name is Abhijit for administration job, no, then it's good because you're answering to the point, right? But for business analysts, they expect you to be more creative in your thinking. They don't expect right answer, but they expect your approach to the answer. Understanding? So
one more
what is your name?
question. Yeah.
What is your name? You're not going to say my name is Abhijit. You're going to
Mm,
say I'm Abhijit. I'm from, you know, Bihar and I work on this. You're going to talk more if they ask you what is your name. Okay.
understood. Yeah.
Okay. What's the next question? Wait. Sorry, Abhijit. So, Sunena, were you able to understand? Because I know this is your first session on BA. But were you able to relate what I'm trying to answer?
Not exactly.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll touch back on this one, but just try to listen. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Abhijit.
Yeah. So next question is, do you have any functional document which you have written for your project?
Yes, as a BA, that's my core job. Like for every project I work on, I maintain a functional documentation. Now, a functional document is very essential because suppose if I leave the organization, right, and there has to be another FA or BA who comes in my place, it is very essential for the entire team to not be in ambiguity of the project, right? So they need to understand and still move on with the project. So as part of a best practice, I maintain functional documentation. And are you looking for any specifics on, the method or the writing part of it, like how I maintain the functional documentation? I can again share you a sample by sharing my screen on what all line items I cover in the functional document, right? I'll keep it very short for this. Why? Because you told me your question was very generic, right? It was not very specific like the previous one. Your previous question was very, very specific, correct? Like, how do you write a story? That is very specific. But this is like, have you written any functional documentation, or have you worked on any functional documentation? My answer can be as simple as yes, but I can add more details like this, right?
Uh, yeah, one more thing. Yesterday's interview, that interviewer asked me uh, what data flow diagram you are using, any flow diagram you are using, SRS, FRP something, and so I answered there. I was using DND, DFT, data flow diagram for this.
Hmm.
So, how many flow diagrams are available for BA and all? So,
See, flow diagrams for a BA, types of it and all that, you need not know that much. Okay.
hmm,
But you can use you can tell what tools you use for functional flow diagrams, right? So let
okay.
me just share my screen here. Tell me when you can see it, okay? Can you see it?
Yeah.
See, there is something called as draw.io on the website, okay? You can type it on the Google, you will also find it, draw.io. So this is the website, right? Draw.io. Now I can create functional diagrams from this. You're getting the flow diagrams. How can I create it? I can just select here, no? If I want to create, for example, that requirement that you took, right, on user management, you're very keen on understanding the role, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do, I would come here and I can create an organization chart and say, okay, I can put your name on the top. I can put mine, Sunena, and Abhishek name here. And I can show here in the form of a flow diagram or structure that, okay, Abhijit is the CEO and Abhishek, Apurva, and Sunena are employees who report to this, right?
Okay.
Now, this is more functional than you asking, tell me what role you want, correct?
Understood.
Because what is a role? A role is nothing but hierarchy. It tells you who
Yeah.
is under who, correct? So if I simply draw this diagram or show this diagram to business, they can tell me at least who is under whom, and I can go back and decide the role, correct? With my team. Are you getting? Is it too
Yes.
much?
Yeah. It's nice, and I'm able to understand that also. But what about how we can identify that we have to use that functional chart or that functional document, and how can I write that?
I didn't get it. I didn't get your question.
क्वेश्चन ये है कि मतलब हम कब कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करें कब हमें फंक्शन डॉक्यूमेंट लिखने हैं और किस तरीके से लिखने हैं.
See, for any given project, you need to write functional documentation. Okay. When I say functional documentation, it's not a novel. It's not like in the Word you go and write one big story, right? No.
Mhm.
Functional documentation is nothing but putting your story on the Jira board. That's it, right? That is what
Okay.
is a functional document. Now, some projects are not very easy, right? It's a very complex project, right? So, in
Hmm.
that, you will create an epic because it cannot be as simple as a small story because epic
Yeah.
is known for big project. So, वहाँ पे आपको functional documentation बनाना पड़ेगा. Okay, like in the epic, you will create a functional documentation which will have bullet points of what I just explained in scope, out of scope, assumptions, right? The flow
Okay.
diagram. Like the flow diagram now, how you'll know what flow diagram to draw. So my requirement is as complex as integrate Facebook with Salesforce. ये easy है? नहीं है
Nope.
ना? It's complex. लेकिन diagram में easy बना सकते हो, right? Like you can draw one Facebook box, you can draw one Salesforce box, and you can draw
Hmm.
an arrow, correct? It could
Like
be as
flow.
simple it could be as simple as draw two boxes. One box is Facebook, one more box is Salesforce, and then connect the two boxes, right? That's what is the functional diagram, right? That you have to integrate these two
Understanding.
systems.
Okay, in this
Okay.
case, let's take an example of email to case. So Epic name is email to case, and we have a story case creation. In case creation, what we are doing, customer will be in a box, single arrow we will draw. Yeah,
See,
customer,
this
then
is
the
how it will
case.
be. Okay.
Okay,
So this is the customer,
right.
correct? Customer क्या कर रहा है? He's sending email to where? Outlook, correct? Now Outlook से
Then it will come to Salesforce
as what?
as a case.
See, this is the most simplest diagram, right?
Understood.
Now,
Hmm.
if you want to make it more beautiful, like, okay, I am a BA, I have to draw very detailed diagram, matlab, you can put here another box and यहाँ पे you'll put case. Getting it?
Mm-hmm.
And now you can still do it more, right? Like, what is happening here? This guy is sending email, correct? So
Oh,
a
now
guy is
getting.
sending an email and यहाँ से it's coming to Outlook. How email to case setup? Understanding.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So anybody will understand this if you see, right? Any developer,
Yep.
correct? Okay, so that's how you want to draw, like simple, put simple thoughts first, draw with two boxes, and then keep on adding the elements, right? That's it.
Yeah. So if we can go with one another question, so I think that will help to Sunaina.
Okay, go ahead with your last question.
How you are gathering requirement?
Okay. So you are expecting me to answer what is, I mean, how I gather the requirements from the customers.
Yeah, just the way and
Okay,
what you are using.
sure, sure. So, first of all, I would like to tell you that in my organization, the requirement gathering phase begins from project management. So, whenever there is a project that is coming from business, it is first informed to our manager, right? Then the manager checks if the project is funded, if the project is having, a feasibility to do this solutioning in Salesforce, and then only it is handed off to a business analyst. right? So my role begins when the project is funded and handed off to me. They create a epic on the Jira board and say, here is where I can go ahead and take the requirements. So what I do as a first step in the requirement gathering phase is I go through the project charter, spend at least 1 or 2 days of time to understand the high level requirements. Once I do the high level requirements, I try to build stories on assumption without any details, right? But at least I will have the outline of the stories. So here, if I take a typical example of, let's say, um, lead conversion, right? That's the project, like lead conversion. So then I will create high level stories such as lead creation, then lead button, then who should convert the lead, such as like this, like 3 stories I'm going to create, and then I'm going to schedule a meeting with the product owners. I know that each company follows their own names to address the business. In my company, we work closely with product owners who represent business. So I connect with the product owners on a daily basis till the requirement is fixed. And once the requirements are fixed, I'll go back, complete writing my stories. And I write my stories again in Gherkin methodology so that it is very clear as to, the given when then method. I write the acceptance criteria. I cover the out of scope items, the in scope items, the functional flow diagrams. I add all this. And then I have one final meeting with the product owner to get the approval. Now, this step is very, very critical for me as a BA, because if I don't get these stories approved by the business and I go back to my team, right, then they're going to build something which is not approved. So I take the step uh, as a business analyst to go back to the product owner and get a official confirmation on the requirements via email. So they will tell that this story is approved, and that's it. I think then from there on I go to my scrum team and I groom these requirements by opening the stories one by one on the Jira board. So this completes my requirement gathering phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now very much things are clear with this answer. We have to do more practice on with it so that we are more confident during answering these questions.
Okay. Okay.
That's it
So
from my side.
Sunena, at least the requirement gathering phase, were you able to understand this part?
Yeah, I
Like what
understood.
we are trying to do in this call, like what's a BA? Are you getting some clarity?
Yeah, yeah, I understood.
Okay. Okay. So that's what they will ask. So Abhijit, make some more notes of the questions that I'm going to tell. They may ask this. Okay.
Okay, I will write it down all the questions by tomorrow before tomorrow session.
Yeah. Like they can ask you questions like how do you conduct UAT? Right. What are the best practices you follow as a BA? Right. They may ask this question. So write that down.
Okay.
Okay. How do you deal with a product owner who is, um, you know, who is very arrogant and is not giving you the requirement properly? So how do you deal with a customer like that, right? This is one of the scenario based question they can ask.
Okay.
Have you worked on any integration projects? Can you explain me how you will gather requirements for an integration project? This is another question they can ask. So yeah, I told 4 extra questions which we had not originally noted down, right? So
Okay.
make note of this also and try to prepare yourself. And in tomorrow's session, we'll see how we can answer these.
These four questions, what you said right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So anything else you want to check with me? before we wrap up?
I think it's done for today and enough for us also. Sunana, do you have anything?
No, no.
Okay, then Apurva, we should wrap up this. And we'll come back with these questions to you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for today.
Chalo.